that frame, right? You have the conversation, like, what's next?
So now, as I said, we're starting to negotiate. Their emotional end is way up in the air. Their rational brain way down on the ground. So what we want them to do is burn off a lot of that emotional energy. So we just basically ask them open-ended questions. And we use what and how questions predominantly. We try to stay away from questions that are like why, because why sounds accusatory. Why'd you do that, Enrique? Oh, wait a minute. So we try to stay away from why. Tell me what's going on here. What got us here today? And then we be quiet and we let them talk and we burn off that energy. And whatever they say, usually it's the important words. Sometimes it's the last 3 to 4 words. We'll just parrot that again. You might say, well, my mom just pissed me off. And we'd say, your mom pissed you off. And then we shut up. And that'll get people to talk again.
Why do you ask that question like that right there?
Like what? Like just say it like that?
Yeah. Like that type of question is a mirroring question, right? For the people who are listening. Tell us a bit more about like mirroring question and then why you would ask that.
Because again, we're trying to establish trust. We're trying to establish a relationship. And by me parroting back, so we used to call it parroting, they call it mirroring now, but by us parroting back what you said, or the last 3 or 4 words, or the important words of what you said, it establishes trust because it makes them realize, oh, he understands what I'm saying. And all we do is take those words and give them right back to you. But it makes you feel as the hostage taker that, oh, he gets me. He understands. This is not like, oh, he's eating an orange here and oh yeah, right, okay. I mean, we've connected. It gets that bond going. And it's so simple. And I'm sure people are listening. It's like, it's not that simple. It is that simple. It's just the way people are wired. But the important thing to do is to ask those 3 questions and then to shut up. That's the hard part. We use silence to our advantage. So people would talk, we would parrot back to them their 3 words, and then we'd be quiet. Maybe they wouldn't talk for a minute or 2. Now it's uncomfortable. If you and I sat here for a minute and we didn't say a word, it would get uncomfortable. Somebody, your audience would be like, somebody say something. Come on, say something.
Someone's going to lean in.
Yeah, somebody's got to say something. Somebody's got to use the silence to your benefit. Use that. And we would just be quiet. And eventually the silence would get to them and they would start talking again. Yeah. And it's like, they talk to my mom burned the dinner. So your mom burned the dinner. Quiet, silence, wouldn't say anything. But the other part of this is labeling. And so we would parrot back and we would attach an emotion to it. So it seems like, or it feels like, you're really upset with your mother. But here's the important part of that labeling. If somebody's ranting and raving and yelling and screaming, and you say something like, you seem like you're a little upset with your mother, you've totally missed it. You have to, and this is why negotiating, at least from our perspective, was so exhausting, because you had to get down in the weeds with these people. You had to get down in the mud. You had to be like, well, Enrique, sounds like you're just pissed as hell at your mother. Boom, another connection. Oh, Terry gets it. Terry gets it. I'm pissed as hell. And then it would get you to go on again and start talking. So all this is designed. And again, how and what questions are designed from our perspective to engage you to help me get you out. What happened? how do you think we can resolve this today? It seems to me like you want to come out safely. And I want to make sure that happens for you. So it's things like that.
I love that. I love that. I want to go back into like mirroring. Asking a mirror question. Typically, when you do this, do you see them like opening up quite a bit after that? Like, what is like your typical kind of, whether it's a verbal response or just kind of rapport? Like, when you nail a good mirror question, what are some typical things that you observe?
They'll talk more, or they'll get really uncomfortable and they'll hang up on you. And that's okay.
Why do they do that?
Because they realize that, so you're starting to build that trust. You're starting to have a relationship with them. Ooh, wait a minute. That's uncomfortable.
Is it a sense of fear?
Yeah, it's they're uncomfortable with what I've just said. They're uncomfortable. Yeah, he gets me. He understands me. Ooh, I don't like that. I've got to think about what I want to do. I got to think about, and it's okay, because we'll give them a minute or two and then we'll call them back.
Yeah.
And that, so yes, so either it gets them to talk a lot more. I remember there was a bank robbery suspect. There were several suspects, and they were mirroring, and the guy got uncomfortable, and he gave the phone to one of his other bank robbing buddies. He's like, no, this is, I've got to get distance. I can't be this close to this. And so either hanging up gets that distance, or giving the phone to somebody else and letting them talk. Sometimes they'll like, here, and they'll put it to the hostage's head and be like, say something, tell me you're okay.
Mm.
Again, that's creating distance for them, because now we're starting to get, a relationship, and they're uncomfortable with that,
Yeah.
Because you're not going to hurt somebody. I want this to resolve peacefully. You want to think you're in charge, and I'll let you think you're in charge all day long. But by me asking you what and how questions, I'm engaging you to help me get you out.
There's a lot right there that I want to touch up on that relates massively to what we do. So the first thing is going back to the mirroring. And like you said, that's why I wanted to ask was like, okay, what are your typical responses? They either open up or they shut down. Most of the time, they probably open up. And that's the thing, like why a mirror question works so well is because when you give somebody a subject to talk about, they're going to talk about it. Now, when you give somebody a subject that has to do with them, people like to talk about themselves naturally, especially if you have that trust or that fairness rapport, then they do feel a bit more comfortable. And what I found in sales is like, if somebody is comfortable, then naturally they'll feel more confident. And it goes either way. If someone feels more confident, then that means they have comfort, whether it's confident in what you do will help them or confident that you can walk them across the sale. Like in order to close somebody, you need them to be comfortable, but you need them to be confident that you can get them the result, that they believe that the result will help them and that they have the resources to do so. Right. But going back to the mirroring, it's like if you give somebody a subject to talk about and that it's personal enough, like they will naturally kind of open up for the most part. And we've done this in regular communications outside of sales or hostage negotiations, right? Like if someone's frustrated, it seems like you're like a bit, I don't know, is frustrated the right word? Yeah, I am fucking frustrated because my girlfriend cheated on me. Like, how could she do that after all I do for her? Right. And like, that's a mirror. That's a label, but it goes back tenfold just because of that. Now, the other thing that you mentioned too was like that fairness, that rapport, like being on the same side of the table, but almost as if like they feel like the ball is in their court. That's what's really important, because I have the same thing in my sales process. I want them to feel comfortable the whole time. So I ask a lot of open-ended questions. For example, like let's say I want to close somebody. I'll confirm the program, confirm the price, make sure it works for them. So what do you feel like we should do from here, Terry? I don't know. What the next step looks like? Well, I mean, like if you're open for it, I'll pull up my screen. I'll share the transaction with you. We'll put your favorite credit card in, like whatever. And then I'll send you over the agreement. You'll sign that, and then I'll get you booked in with your health coach or whatever it is. But you tell me, is that something like you're open to doing, or what do you feel like we should do? Like, no matter how you word structure it, what I've found is if I can put the ball in their court, it makes them feel more comfortable and confident of that situation or of that conversation, which they could think more clearly. They don't have anxiety. The trust is there because you're on the same side of the table. So that was something that I just realized that you do very well. And I thought that was quite funny. Man, I knew we were having a good conversation, Terry.
Let me throw this out again. But I also think what you just said from a sales perspective, it also, by you saying what you just said, it also allows them, especially when you talked about, look, I want this to be fair. If there are impediments, you kind of get the soft yes. And it's like, is that really a yes? Are they really going to give me my credit card? Are they really going to sign, are they really going to make this deal, whatever it is? But it also allows you, by saying, hey, I think we can do this. If there's objections, if there's something that they don't feel good about, if there's something that, is kind of sticking in their craw, it's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm getting a good deal here. And they're a little uncomfortable saying, hey, Enrique, am I really getting a good deal here? They'll start to come up with reasons why they don't want to give you the credit card, or what. And then that allows you as the salesperson to say, to basically, oh, you're a little uncomfortable with that. Well, let's talk through that. Let's talk about how we implement this. Let's talk about what you gain from this. Let's talk about, and so you basically, it gives you an opportunity for them to pull it out, put it out there, and then you to address each of those things that would basically say a soft yes would turn a soft yes into an absolute yes. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right now, because now you've given them opportunity to voice their objections. They feel like they've been treated fairly. You've handled all their objections. Boom. Let's sign on the dotted line.
Oh man, I love this. We're geeking out right now. So you're talking about pre-handling objections, which is something that I like to coach too. And a lot of people are like, wait, you could pre-handle objections? It's like, how do you do that? It's like, well, yeah, if you